part of the water users bylaw that we presented to the Community Services Committee 6 weeks ago or so. It needed a little bit of work, but that was brought back for time for discussion.
Okay. Hope we follow clearly next time. That's all I have to say about that. All in favor of the motion? It's carried. Thank you. Next motion, please.
Moved by Councilor Brown, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hart. Be it resolved that Council accepts and approves the recommendation from the Community Services Committee pursuant to Resolution Number CS 09-2014 concerning McLennan Park.
Are there any questions regarding the park? That's in Rosedale Terrace. Has the committee got that? Yeah. Boss? Has the committee, are they knowledgeable of what's going on now in Rosedale?
I think we had a pretty good discussion with the group at our meeting. We agreed with all our decisions, but I think they agreed with this forward where we're going. It was a good, positive discussion at least.
Okay, thanks. All in favor of the motion then? Any other question? Carried. Next motion to adopt the fire prevention policy.
Moved by Councilor Brown, seconded by Councilor Waldron. Be it resolved that Council accepts and approves the recommendation from the Community Services Committee pursuant to Resolution Number CS 10-2014 to adopt a fire prevention policy.
Any questions regarding the motion? All in favor then? It's carried. Next, we have the approval of accounts, please. Give me the motion. Marianne.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Hart, seconded by Councilor Brown. Be it resolved that Council accepts the accounts approval report dated April the 17th, 2014 in the amount of $279,586.91.
Questions? Thank you. All in favor? Thanks for getting back to me, Ross, regarding that one so quickly. Next, we have the report number. Oh, there's a change there. Report number PW 12, 2014. Used to be 2000. Okay.
Moved by Councilor Brown, seconded by Councilor Woods. I apologize, Council. Missing the resolutions. Moved by Councilor Waldron, seconded by Councilor Brown. Be it resolved that Council accepts and approves the recommendation presented in Public Works Department Report Number PW 09-2014 concerning tipping fees for 14483 Depot Road.
Any questions? Nothing? All in favor? Carried. Next, we have report number PW10, street closure for Canada Day.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Hart, seconded by Councilor Waldron. Be it resolved that Council accepts and approves the recommendation presented in Public Works Department Report Number PW10-2014, authorizing partial closure of Plaza Street for Canada Day festivities.
Any questions? There's going to be a change from where they're putting the It's going to be on the side, is that correct? Are they going box?
Yeah, we had a discussion.
This is at Grumpy's in Lawsuit, by the way.
The discussion with Mr. Blatcher, there was some responsibility, and we weren't happy with the way it was done previously. Just way too much traffic congestion. It's so busy that we moved it to the west side, and I think it will get on the road a lot better traffic flow. We talked to Dave previously. We were going that way anyway, and Sean was right on the side, who's fire chief kind of looked at it. I think it's a much better location and allows for the festivities of the day.
Okay. Motion read. All in favor? Carried. Next we have report number 11, DW11. The tender for the dust suppressant.
Moved by Councilor Woods, seconded by Councilor Brownlee, be it resolved that council accepts and approves the recommendation presented in Public Works Department Report Number PW11-2014, awarding the joint tender for dust suppressant.
Discussion on this? All in favor? Carried. Yeah. Want to read that one?
Moved by Councilor Brownlee, seconded by Councilor Woods, be it resolved that council accepts and approves the recommendation presented in Public Works Department Report Number PW12-2014 with regards to tender number 04-2014 grass mowing and trimming.
Are there any questions? Any comments regarding this motion? Okay. Finance, all in favor? Carried. Next, we have the Community Park, the ad hoc committee report. Kevin, do you want to speak to that, please?
Yeah, so,
Carrie,
just,
come on.
actually, here.
Yeah, here, come on. Karen's on the committee.
Yeah, Karen has started as the committee chair for the meetings of the committee, so.
Can't say the last name. Okay, so
That's right, just I want to take a few minutes tonight just to go over some of the report that's put together for the committee. We're happy to be here and say that we're on time with the report. We had talked back in February about keeping this as a 3-month project and having it back in front of council by April. So we're happy that we're able to have some successful meetings, one in February, one in March, and as recent as April 15th to review the final report. So I just want to go over a few things and touch on a few things. And if Kara wants to jump in or answer any questions, that's great. The first meeting that took place in February was an introduction and background information that was provided from staff to the committee. That also included a couple members of council. And this one here was basically to explain the master plan as it relates to community parks in the township. There's currently 2 community parks already established, one in St. Andrews and one in Longview. And as the development plan for the recreation master plan called for a 3rd community park development in Ingleside. That was the whole basis of creating this committee to move forward with that, and also provided the committee with information that council has been preparing for this project and has supported this project by creating reserve fund for recreation and parks the last 2 budget years. So the committee is excited about that. In March, we started brainstorming and researching our park inventory in Ingleside. We reviewed probably a dozen areas to be considered for this park. We looked at even parklands that are not owned by the township, some are owned by the Parks Commission as well as school board, and also a few undeveloped parklands that we have in the Ingleside area through the township. And one positive thing that came out of this, obviously, is recommendations towards the community park aspect. We also gathered some information that will be used at all of our parks in Ingleside. There was comments and suggestions from the committee that will be used this year, next year as part of our regular maintenance plan to enhance some of those parks. So it was nice getting some feedback even on parks that weren't being considered. So that was a kind of a bonus that came out of some of the meetings that we had. And during the third meeting that took place April 15th, the committee prepared the report that's in front of you today in draft form. There's been a few changes since then just to make modifications and whatnot. So there's the final draft you received, or final report you're receiving tonight. And we did review all the parks. Comments are listed in the report for every park. Positive, negative, why it would work as a community park, which ones would and which ones weren't. And the committee does have a recommendation for 3 parks in order. The first one would be for the 125 acres waterfront owned by the St. Lawrence Parks Commission, which is on page 8. There it is there. That was the first choice of the committee. Fortunately, staff had a meeting arranged prior to their last meeting of the committee with the Parks Commission, and before our last meeting we did receive a letter of support from the Parks Commission showing their intent on working with the township on possibly looking at a lease agreement or some kind of partnership with a portion of that land to accommodate a community park in Ingleside. So that was a step in the right direction if we are interested in that piece of property or developing that piece of property. Beyond that, there was a sense that from the committee that it didn't want to be a long-term process. And there's wording in here that if an agreement cannot be reached within a reasonable amount of time, the committee would like the township to explore the possibility of developing properties listed as option number 2 and number 3, which would be Fair and Drive, Ingleside Ball Diamond, which is property number 2. It's a property that has a lot of development left to be done. There's a lot of trees and brush and whatnot on that property, but it is currently serviced by township water and electricity. There is a building on site that we need some maintenance, but there is some washrooms there and ball diamond as well. And then that would not work for the township. Then option number 3 would be Maple Street and Alt Drive neighborhood park. It's a bit smaller, but the location, there's a lot of feedback on location and the current popularity of that park would work as a community park as well. So those are the three options. Obviously, there's more research that needs to be done in each of these pieces of property before moving forward. Those are the 3 that are listed by the committee. And if we move over to page number 7 in the report, without knowing where the township will head in the planning and design of such parks, all the committee could do at that point, they felt, was list a few of the main amenities and facilities that they'd like to see in one of these locations. Without knowing the space and whatnot, they couldn't really make recommendations on exactly what amenities and facilities would go in each park without knowing exactly the size of the park or what kind of land we were talking about.
These were generally the ones that came up most often in the conversation.
So we're looking here at like multi-use court facilities. They looked at water features in the form of pools or splash pads, extra large play structures, washroom facilities, park shelter, band shell. There's 2 pages there of different things to be looked at. So those are things that are listed and will be looked at in the future when we develop this piece of property or whatever piece of property is chosen. And on page 12, there was a final recommendation talked about at the last meeting that they wanted, the committee wanted to put forward to council, and that was to see if there was an appetite to extend the work of the committee. Everyone was on board from the committee. I know there's going to be a resolution put forward to council tonight to continue the work in more of a design and planning phase so that the township has more to work with when approaching someone like the Parks Commission with those negotiations. And also to provide the township with more options so that these are the amenities and facilities that might work, or their recommendations for each property. So that's where they're looking to go with the future of the committee.
You good?
So without reading all 12 pages, that's a summary of what was discussed over the 3 meetings and how we got to the final report you're looking at today.
And Kevin did most of the work.
I think that we had over 12 applicants to be on the committee for 5 positions, volunteer-wise. And I think it demonstrates, you know, the master plan is there, it's calling for it now, and I think there's a need for it. I think the willingness of people to step up for it shows that there's a desire for it from the community. And we also had a wide variety of demographics on the committee. So I think there's
It's advertised as regulated, it's advertised for 4 weeks and was went by sealed tender. And we received, in my opinion, very successful tendering, 4 to 5 tenders for each property. And the most successful would be the applicant property.
And the proceeds from that will,
The proceeds first will go out to pay the cost to register their tax sale and the cost that incurred, and they'll stay in taxes, and the balance will be forwarded to the courts or other organizations.
in terms of liens, if there's any liens against properties, things like that.
Yeah, other parties are to collect, if no one claims them after within a year, the municipality may proceed to collect the funds to the courts afterwards, after a year.
Okay, that's the process. Thank you. Any other questions? Please.
The only comment I have regarding these properties is it would be nice that we, and this has been mentioned before, that we have a description of where these properties are, because I never know where these, like all we've got is roll numbers and lot numbers and concessions, but it means nothing to me. And if someone says to me, oh, I see you have this piece of property here, I put a bid in on it, and I'm like, oh yeah, well I have no idea where that is. So I would like to see something of a description.
Unfortunately, all of these were vacant lands. There was no civic address available for any of these properties.
But could you say where those vacant properties are though? Like located where? Like located on All Island, located, on such and such a road, something like that, description, just to give the location where these properties are.
In the advertising, it's descriptive.
Yeah, in the package, a map was provided showing exactly where the property is on the map. I have to look into it and maybe contact our solicitor until we can regarding description of the lot. If it was a civic address, it's easy because it needs to specify the exact address. But if you say on County Road 18 between County Road 11 and 14.
It gives you a general vicinity of where
But
it is.
but it is between a lot of other properties in question too. Like I have to, I would like to look into it. That was something else
Because I get calls about that. I get people asking where are, and you've had it, I think, Mr. Mayor, as well.
All that I do is I forward the call, I direct it to the treasurer, because that's her job to give that information. So I let her do it. It's not for me to know, it's the mayor. So I tell you, because I can't give all the details, to the properties. She'll have all the information, because they usually go in and they ask you where the property is, the zonings, the setback, all the information, which we don't know the information about everything, so that's why I direct them to, okay? So that's, in the future, that's what I have to do, just direct them to your treasurer. But if you want to know descriptions, we can give you a package of the project if you're interested in.
That may be better, just some kind of information that after us send maybe when they come up. Maybe we have some feedback counselors.
Yeah, we did put them on the website, but make sure there are copies for you next time.
You know what I mean? Descriptions where they are, you know what I mean? Not just roll numbers, but as to where the properties are located. You know what I mean?
The thing is, another thing, just a little caution, if somebody calls and asks for the land, with the description of the property, and we make a mistake and tell them one thing and it's something else, they buy the property. I don't want to be, like for zoning, for example, 3 of those properties is a PSW. They cannot build on those lands, they cannot get permits on there until they go to the Conservation Authority and get that waived. So if they discuss this with council and no council members know of this and don't Why didn't you tell me? It's not really for me to know, that's why we should give it to the people that are in that part, just in the event that that happens. And it did happen on these 3 sites here for the, Mr. Cannon, right? Those were PSW lots? Alt-Island?
They're not zoned that, but they are PSW that was put on.
Can you give them a permit?
So they have to go to conservation authority because it's in a regulated area.
Yeah.
But they still may be successful. They'll be-
For sure.
it's an extra
They have to go through that exercise, and they have to get the authority through
Maybe
conservation.
studies required.
So they took a chance on buying a lot. And when I talked to one of the people there, just for my own knowledge, because I'm on the board, they said it was a 50-50 chance. So they took a chance. Okay? Yes?
I'm just wondering if there would be any legal ramifications with privacy of releasing certain information about lots that are being sold for passengers. Like, is there not something in our privacy policy that would prevent certain information from being
Not the description of the lands. There's no privacy policy for this at all. It's just, you're talking about names, maybe?
well, I'm just wondering if there's anything associated with those lots, like,
Who owned before, type of thing. Ryan, do you get a question on that?
The information that was provided in regarding to assessed value and stuff came directly from the assessment rollback, and that information is public information, that rollback.
Be surprised how many people tender on their own lots. Try and get the land back. That happens quite often. Correct.
No comment.
You can say that because you're not mentioning any names. Anyway, there's a motion here. It's been read. Are there any other comments or questions? All in favor of that?
Number 8, a bylaw to enter into an agreement with the Fraser Regional Conservation Authority for enforcement transfer.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding any of the bylaws that we read in this resolution? All in favor of that? Okay, we have 2 items under business. Last, maybe, who wants to speak to it first? Councilor Rob, go ahead. I'll get to the other one.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. My business, Mr. Mayor, is a couple of meetings back, we discussed the possibility of hosting a town hall meeting in the village of Newington. We discussed this at the community services meeting the other day, and the general consensus of the group and, of course, the works manager was that we should delay this until such time as we get the report done for the street. As you know, it's gone for engineering, and that was the general thought. Correct?
Yeah, we discussed that. I've since had a discussion with the engineer. Unfortunately, they got snowed out in their field work in the fall. We still have to determine basically 2 things, mostly to do with stormwater, as to how we're going to get stormwater from the road to Fly Creek and or one of the other drains. So, to predict the date of this time is a little premature, but I think before we went to any type of meeting, we wanted to have design done, try and have permission from these properties if we have to cross them with storm outlets, and then have a good grasp of what kind of money we're looking at before we start talking to people. I expect probably 8 weeks or so before we, early summer.
So what I'm looking for, Mr. Mayor, is permission of council to delay this meeting until such time as that portion of the project is complete. That's
Okay. Thank you. I think that's a great idea because we were on a road tour with the counties last week, and we went to visit all the county roads and bridges and things that we think that might need to be repaired for the following year. And we went on the county road they're looking at county council's, of course, the motion that we want to move forward is to repair that road. Now that we know that they said last night that they're going to use the fair for the horses for the IPM. And there's many horses they have there, the big, large Clydesdales, things like that. So they said that maybe we could get in contact with the public works supervisor or manager and maybe work together easily to see, because we have road work to do too. We're looking at engineering for the what's the name of the two streets there, Fairview Drive and what's the other one? Cedar, that's it. And of course, if we can do this all together rather than duplicating, and there's going to be, they're going to have to do some storm work too, because that's one area that the city seriously needed, is some storm sewer work. So we can do that in all conjunction together, and upgrade all Newington. It's going to be nice when they do the Ohio matches there, and plus for the community as well. So do you want to contact Ben and see how that's going to unfold? Would you do that?
You do that.
Appreciate that. There was a second item, Lorianne, that you mentioned with regards to Dave Smith. Dave, did you want to speak to your paper regarding your, what was the new business?
Okay.
Want to come sit down?
Did you want me to?
About the letter? Just for outline on your